Emerging political trends from 1977 to 2000. This is a chapter. Here we find some new political trends have emerged. In the last class, you have given some timeline. Let us see that the changes occurred here. So it is from 1975 that state of emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi to 1985 with the Rajiv Gandhi success in elections up to 1985, 10 years period. It is a crucial time for Indian democracy because Indian democracy was at a trouble. During the state of emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi in 1975, many of her democratic rights were suspended, and this was the situation where the democracy may slip into the dictatorship. But at last, it ended in 1977, the state of emergency. Then Congress, led by Rajiv Gandhi, won elections and returned to the power. So, first 10 years from 75 to 85, it is a period we see that the state of emergency started and ended. It ended the rule of a Congress party by 77. In many of the states and at a center, Congress party was defeated in this period. Several other political parties, that what we call non-Congress parties, had come to the power. It means it is a situation there multi-party system have emerged here. In many of the nations around this time, around this situation, they slipped from democracy and entered into either army rule or dictatorship. Such a situation also prevailed in India. But we succeeded here preventing our India slipping to the dictatorship. First 30 years, there was a single party democracy. Then, after it shifted to competitive multi party system. So, from 1975, we see that there is emergence of competitive alternatives. several political parties have emerged here so that Indian voters have got multiple choices to cast their vote while exercising their vote. And the several political parties which emerged in this period presented different political viewpoints. For example, BJP, it have come with a new political viewpoint. CPIM is there. It's a political view different from another. SAD, Shiromani Akali Dal at Punjab. This is a regional party emerged with its own regional interest. So different political viewpoints and sectional interest. Sectional interest refers to benefits of different communities in a region. So sectional interests and different political viewpoints played an important role in at state level and at national levels. So national politics and state politics have turned to a new viewpoint, a new outlook started in the state politics and national politics. Political viewpoints of socialists, those who preferred socialism, and Hindu nationalists, communists, and some political parties which emerged with the political viewpoints of relating to farmers. Some political parties emerged to benefit the farmers. That is sectional interest of farmers. Some other political parties. One party emerged for protecting the interest of Dalits. Okay. And some are based on BC caste. And whereas some political parties stood for interest of their regions. For example, TRS stands for Telangana region. So like this, various political viewpoints emerged and that given very wide choice for the voters in elections. Different political parties with diversified political viewpoints enlightened the minds of the voters. Here at this time, we see some non-political movements also. In this 75 to 85 period, 1975 to 85 period, some of non-political movements also emerged here. Those are environmental movements relating to the environment, feminist movements started by women, and some movements relating to the civil liberties, and some other movements started to increase the literacy rate to overthrow illiteracy from India. Those are literacy movements. They emerged along with political movements. So, non political movements, political movements, and different political viewpoints of state parties, that is, regional parties, and national parties emerged, and they become powerful motors for social change. The society a, underwent into a great change politically, socially, and economically by the issues started in this period. Let us see how these issues have shown its impact on politics in this period. In 1977, we see their elections were conducted. Here, the government have announced elections in the month of January 1977. When elections were announced, everybody was surprised that Indira Gandhi, who imposed a state of emergency in which democratic rights are suspended, then after everybody they felt surprise on announcement of elections in the month of January 1977. What was the surprise? Nobody had expected elections to be held in 1977. State of emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi had ended by 77. Indira Gandhi released all the political prisoners, that is, opposition party leaders who went against Indira Gandhi, and state of emergency. During the state of emergency, there was a restriction on media. Now Indira Gandhi removed restriction on media. She removed censorship and other regulations which restricted freedom of the people. People were not given freedom to move freely. They were not allowed to form associations and conduct meetings during emergency period. In one word, we can say fundamental rights, civil liberties are suspended during the state of emergency. So all those restored back after ending the state of emergency. And here during this period, that is in 1977 elections, many of the political parties started a movement against the Congress party to pull down Congress party and make it unpopular. Congress failed here in removing the poverty. Another thing is that Congress have gone for imposing state of emergency where democratic rights are suspended. So many of the political parties they have come together to challenge the Congress. and those major political parties which formed a unity against the Congress party were the Congress war. That means opponents in the Congress. Some of the members in the Congress were against to the Congress. They were called Congress O. O means opposition, opponents. Swatantra Party, Bharatiya Janasangh, Bharatiya Lokdal, and Socialist Party. These all the parties, they have come together and formed a Janata Party. Janata Party is the collision of all these parties, right? So Janata Party formed with these political parties to fight against the Congress Party and the state of emergency. Some of the important Congress leaders, they left the Congress Party and joined anti-Congress parties. Anti-Congress in the sense opposite to the Congress Party. Those are Jagjeevan Ram, very important Congress leader, quit from the Congress and joined opposition parties, and some other regional parties also challenged the Congress Party from outside the Janata Party. Those are DMK, Dravida Munnetra Kajagam. It is a regional party in Tamil Nadu. SAD, Shiromani Akali Dal, a regional party in Punjab. Then CPIM, Communist Party of India, Marxism. So these are the regional parties. They have their separate identities and supported Janata Party against the Congress Party. These all the political parties aimed to defeat the Congress, and they wanted to pull Congress from the power. They wanted to make Congress as unpopular. So here Janata Party organized many campaigns against the Congress. Some of the important leaders who played a very important role, crucial role in bringing unity in anti-Congress parties, that is Jayaprakash Narayan, Acharya J.B. Kripalani. These are the important leaders bringing unity among all anti-Congress political parties and anti-emergency parties. Some of the political parties stood up against emergency imposed by Indira Gandhi, and some political parties stood against the Congress party. So anti-Congress and anti-emergency parties, they wanted to fight against the Congress in 1977 elections. And here another important point is that all these anti-Congress and anti-emergency parties had their own viewpoints on many of the social and political issues. It means one party to another party. For example, Bharatiya Janasangh and Bharatiya Lokdal, they have different viewpoints on political and social issues. So when their opinions and viewpoints are different, they could not stand to one common opinion, right? Because their viewpoints are different. So here, from all angles, we find there were diversified and opposite viewpoints to all these political parties which united against the Congress. Clear? This is very important point. All these political parties, what that DMK, SAD, CPIM, Swatantra Party, Bharatiya Janasangh, Bharatiya Lokdal, Socialist Party, they all these parties have diversified and opposite viewpoints. One viewpoint of one political party does not matches with another political party. So they had opposite viewpoints but united. So how did they unite when they had differences and opposite viewpoints on the social and political issues? It is just to come into the power. Power only united them, and their main task is to defeat the Congress. So, for defeating the Congress, they have united, keeping their different political viewpoints and opposite political viewpoints aside. Once they had come into power, then they started expressing their opposite viewpoints. So, in that situation, they have not come to a conclusion. Finally, this also collapsed. That we'll see here. Understand? So, here we see these political parties united against the Congress. So, they succeeded mobilizing the people against the Congress in 1977 elections. 1977 elections are very important. First time in India was defeated in India first time Congress party was defeated at national level and at states level. So this is an historic elections. 1977 Congress was defeated. Janata Party came to power. In 1977 elections, Janata Party succeeded in defeating the Congress. So by 1977, non-Congress government was set up at a national level and in many states. Its leader was Morarji Desai. Morarji Desai was a leader and prime minister of a non-Congress government. By 1977, there many of the political parties along with the Congress party elected unanimously Mr. Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as the Speaker of 6th Lok Sabha on 26th March 1977. Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy was the first Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and worked 4th and 6th Lok Sabha speakers. Here, in electing the Lok Sabha speaker, all the political parties, they kept their diversified and opposite viewpoints aside, unanimously elected Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as the Speaker of 6th Lok Sabha on 26th March 1977. Unanimously means it says that there is no opposition to Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy from any political party. Though political parties have their divergent and opposite viewpoints, they stood on a common thing, that to elect Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy, who was a great person, right? So then after Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy was elected as the President of India. So here Congress party also supported it, though it was against to the many political parties. So this is one important point, indicates the success of democracy. In democracy, various political parties with a divergent and opposite political viewpoints, they come to one common opinion to elect Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as president of India. Because here you see that the great personalities were elected by the all political parties, keeping their personal and political agenda aside. That is one important point in the democracy instant. So here it is what to call, during Sanjeeva Reddy period, he had to work with the three governments. That means under his presidentship, there three prime ministers worked. Understand? That is Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, and Indira Gandhi. These three prime ministers worked with Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy during his tenure. Whose tenure? Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy tenure. Understand? So here, this victorious Janata Party in 1977 elections, Janata Party have won elections. So it had taken a step in dismissing Congress governments in many states. In 9 states, Congress formed their government. As Congress was defeated at a central level, at a national level, then it had lost its power and majority at a national level, so that there was no right to the Congress party to be in power at states level. That is the statement given by the Janata Party. Janata Party stood against the Congress party. So Janata Party aimed to dismiss the Congress from the power in some states where Congress had stood up into power and came into power. Understand? So in 9 states, there were Congress governments. Those were dismissed by the Janata Party, saying that central government justified. That means Janata Party justified that majority in their assemblies, just because of the party ruling in those states, had been defeated in the parliamentary elections. It is justified. See, what is there? Government, was the central government justified? The question is there. Was the central government justified in dismissing 9 Congress state governments, even if they enjoyed majority in their assemblies, just because of the party ruling in those states had been defeated in the parliamentary elections. Yes, it justified. Congress was defeated in the parliament elections, but in assembly elections, it got a majority. So Janata Party stated that Congress party had lost what to call majority at a national level. So it had lost its mandate to rule the states because it had been defeated at national level. At national level, Janata Party came to power. Congress was defeated. So how does the Congress is allowed to be in power in states? That is the question of the Janata Party. Janata Party stated that Congress was defeated at a national level, so that it is justified that as Congress was defeated at a national level, it should be dismissed at a states level. So Congress party had lost its mandate to rule in the states as it had been defeated at a national level. Its stand was somewhat indicated by its victory. That means in some states it is we see that in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Bihar, their victory of CPM in West Bengal and DMK in Tamil Nadu. Okay, in Tamil Nadu, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam got into power. It stepped up into the power, and CPIM at West Bengal, they have got a majority and formed the government there. In Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Bihar, there we see the Congress have indicated its a majority instead. So here we see these political parties united and formed as a Janata Party and removed the Congress from the state, from several states, that is especially 9 states instead. So with this, we see that Janata Party had succeeded. This Janata Party, after coming to the power, it promised that there will be restoration of democracy and freedom from authoritarian rule. Indira Gandhi ruled in a what to call in a way that dictatorship. She imposed what to call emergency, right? So here during that emergency period, government was nothing but Indira Gandhi. So that was an authoritarian rule. So here Janata Party in 1977 elections promised that when they come to power, they will restore the democracy and freedom. Okay. So however, we see there were differences of opinions among the partners of the Janata Party. Janata Party formed by several political parties coming together, right? So there was a serious what to call difference of opinions and disunity. There was no strong unity among the political parties of Janata Party. So the disunity among the partners of the Janata Party finally led to what to call fall of the government within the 3 years. So it came to power in 1977 and fall from the power in 1980. It means Janata Party ruled for a period of 3 years. How many years? 3 years instead. That is 1977 to 1980. Only 3 years it was in power. It failed to complete its term, that is 5 years of period. So why did it fail? Because it is a party in which we find several political parties united to defeat the Congress. I have given a point: diametrically divergent political opinions were there to all these political parties. So there were internal squabbles in the political parties. Understand? Internal squabbles means there one party to another party did not come to a common opinion. So these political parties which created a Janata Party, they have gone what to call opposite to different views. So there were quarrels, fights, and factional struggles, and that led to fall of this Janata Party. Here we'll stop.